Welcome back, everybody. I thought I'd do an episode today based on the second half of the season, what happened with the standings and the playoff races. I think the top teams are pretty well covered. We'll go over the top four seeds first and then kind of work our way down to the playoff teams. First overall record is 105 wins out of two teams with 4 games remaining. Montreal and St. Louis have been the cream of the crop this season. Montreal has just an incredible lineup. Rookie of the year runaway Tony Guerra there has just been phenomenal. One of the craziest stats of the entire season I've seen is 7.46 WPA, which is amazing. Right across the board there, they've been hot. Luke Leto had one of the craziest seasons. I just noticed the dude hit 328 this season, which is insane. He had a 418 BABIP, which I'd have to imagine would be a major league record. I've never seen anything like that, which is unreal. Makes sense that he's a fast runner, but still, that kind of BABIP is just outrageous. Last year, he had a 352 BABIP and right around 350 between the two teams. And the year before, 350. So he jumped up about 70 points to an already high BABIP. Just one of the craziest things ever. So that team has just been ridiculous. A couple really elite pitchers there. 3 guys with over 3 WAR starting pitchers wise. Oh, sorry, four of them actually. Joey Wentz also had over 3 WAR. So just a crazy balanced lineup. Elite defense out of Luke Leto. Just an amazing season from them. St. Louis Cardinals also have one of the best pitching defenses combos I've ever seen. 3.2 earned run average, first in runs allowed at only 564 so far. Best defense in baseball, plus 44, and a top-notch defensive efficiency. Offensively, they're still incredible too. First in hitter WAR, 34 hitter WAR, and then position player WAR, and then they're first in OPS and first in on base percentage, second in home runs, first in walks. Just unbelievable stats across the board there. So St. Louis has just been an absolute powerhouse. One of the craziest second half of the seasons too. They went scorching hot in August, 24-4, 19-9 September. So those two teams are just ridiculous. Next up, we have Milwaukee at 101 wins. Milwaukee picked up, I'll point out, Juan Figueroa there at the deadline, and he's just been a menace the second half. 4.4 WPA at his time there, just in 70 games with Milwaukee. The guy went from hitting 260 to 320. His BABIP jumped 30 points. His walk rate almost doubled. His strikeout rate went down. His WOBA went from 313 to 434, which is just like MVP type numbers in Milwaukee. If they're doing a split between first and second half MVPs, he'd probably be the right up there, probably the winner in the AL for second half MVP, the most hot second half performer. So just incredible pickup there. Milwaukee really balanced all around, first place in the AL West there. Just incredible pitching and hitting there, ranking single digits in almost every single category. Really elite though defensively and hitting wise. First in zone range. Actually, even better defense. I didn't realize that than St. Louis. I don't know why that's just so high. I guess they're just really good everywhere. Emmanuel Rodriguez is an incredible defender in center field at a plus 15, which is ridiculous. And then Prescotto here is a plus. Oh, that's why I knew he was good. I didn't think he was that much better than everybody else. A plus 28. Oh my goodness. So yeah, their defense, holy smokes, even better than I thought. And then you get the plus 13 now, Josh Richardson. So that middle of the infield combo had over 42 zone range. That's just a joke. What incredible defensive core they have there. Next up, we have Pittsburgh at 95 wins. They looks like they actually are going to edge out Atlanta here from the looks of it. They had a monstrous season out of Ed Howard. The best base running season I've ever seen. He had a 10.9 UBR and a 17 ultimate base running. So the UBR is just, I think, base running that doesn't include stolen bases. So that's actually just how well they run the bases when it comes to like stretching out singles to doubles and on sac flies and all that. And then the ultimate base running takes into account the stolen bases. So that 10 UBR, it doesn't have anything to do with the 60 run stolen bases. The 17.3 is the ultimate. So it includes both. It factors in how many steals they got, how many times they got caught stealing, and the UBR. So that 17.3 is just out of this world. Essentially means he was worth 17 runs just on the base pass on top of his normal offensive output, which is still phenomenal at 377 on base percentage. Really high BABIP because he's such a good runner. So just an incredible 7 WAR season out of him is just amazing. Love the season out of him. And then you got a couple big pitching seasons too. Lara there had over 3 WAR. Really solid team you got there. Really good offensive stats for Pittsburgh. Second in batting average, third in extra base hits. A really good combination to have. Second in stolen bases, and third least strikeouts. So they're just making a ton of contact, getting balls in play, not giving easy outs from strikeouts and such. And then defensively, they're amazing. Plus 43 zone range with another one of those teams that has a ton of good defenders across the board there. And then really solid pitching overall in the top 5 and everything. So just a really good ball club there. Atlanta's not far behind in second place. Atlanta has really good defensive infielders. Their pitching is phenomenal too. Mike Soroka, and I don't know how long he is injured for. Mackenzie Gore. Oh no, I didn't notice that injury. That's a brutal one. Mackenzie Gore, one of the best pitchers in baseball, is out for the postseason. That is a killer for them. So the injury bug just keeps biting Atlanta this year. Some really bad luck between him and Acuna, both being out for the year. Two of their top players there, both veterans. That's just a big sting there. So unfortunate for them, but they still have a really good team. Still some really good players. Could always still make a run. So we'll see how they do. And then next up, you have Philly. Philly just went on fire in the second half of the season. They went 17-11, 17-11, 17-10, 17-11, 16-11. So just went on fire there offensively in the second half. Really, the entire team just comes down to the home runs. They had so many home runs. Going to finish with over 300 here. It's just incredible, which is a pretty rare feat. Third run scored, second in slugging percentage. Not great pitching wise, but also not at the very bottom. Really tough stadium to pitch in, so you could always boost those stats by a little bit there, where you give up a ton of home runs at that stadium, and they were still pretty good movement wise in the top 9 there for home runs allowed. So still like how they built their rotation around a lot of movement. They just didn't have crazy peripherals when it comes to strikeouts and walks, but built that team the right way to be a playoff contender. So I like how they did that with a ton of power and eye. Next up, the big one is actually, we'll go back to that. So next up, we have Cleveland Spiders. We're second place in the AL East there. Cleveland had a huge second half also. They had a monstrous end of July, and then August they were 18-11, 19-9 September. They had some really bad luck offensively in the first half, some really cold hitters that kind of bounced back in the second half, mainly, where is he here? JJ Bleday. JJ had a really cold first half, but bounced back in the second half in a big way. He hit 270 in the last few months after hitting like 140, 150 all the first half of the season. So he ended up living a little bit more up to his ratings there. Carmouche here had a lot of home runs, finishing with almost 50 there. Big season out of the big 6'6" guy there. And then you had Ricky Ortiz, had a terrible base running season, so he should actually even have a higher WAR than that. Had a really good offensive season overall, though. When it comes to the batter's box, hitting 305 with over 30 home runs, a bunch of RBIs, 950 OPS, so really good player there. And then the young stud here coming over in the trade, that was their big deadline pickup. Didn't catch on fire as much as Figueroa there did in Milwaukee, but was still a really solid player. Had really good base running. Guy had 12 stolen bases in 70 games. Really solid defender at first base. So just really balanced overall player. Still a really plus guy, but I'd imagine he's going to explode next year once he's had that full season under his belt to kind of get used to and adapt to the new team. Could see a big playoffs out of him too. We'll see. Really talented dude still. So that's second place in the AL East, and then second place in the AL West is Colorado, the last year's champs. Colorado is a phenomenal baseball team. They are first across the board in offense in almost everything except for stolen bases and walks and strikeouts there. The guys just hit the crap out of the baseball. Team average of 270 with a ton of extra base hits and home runs. 270 there for home runs also. And then pitching wise, they're really good. These stats for Colorado are phenomenal. It's really hard in Colorado to finish only like fourth in hits allowed and fifth in starter ERA. So with how ridiculous offensive that stadium is, so just an incredible defense, incredible pitching season out of them. Really, really good ball club all around. Huge year to Logan Webb there. Guy had over 4 WAR. His best season since back in 2023 in almost 10 years. So really, really cool to see him bounce back. And Alex Bregman is getting so close to that 100 WAR career mark. So just an amazing player he's had. Unfortunately, Arenado doesn't look like he's going to make 100 career WAR. He fell just short at 97.5. Actually went down this year with a negative season. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him retire. But he has just had such an incredible career. It's really cool to see two guys have over 190 career WAR between him and Bregman. It'd be amazing to see as a young fan going out to their games. Kind of like in real life how you have Pujols and Yadi Molina in St. Louis having all those amazing Hall of Fame veteran type guys. I think it'd be really cool to go see a Colorado game and see those two superstars at the end of their careers. Royce Lewis looking like he's probably going to win an MVP yet again. Just an amazing player in the AL there. So, and then the last playoff team that's already in is Arizona. Arizona has incredible position players across the board. JT Schwartz is just a monster. Julio Rodriguez had a monster season. Looks like his injury just affects his throwing arm, so he could probably DH in the playoffs with no fallback there. I was a little worried when I first saw that injury, but yeah, just the one part affected there, he probably won't be able to play right field with the arm hurting, but I'd imagine he can still DH, which is okay. You still want that bat in the lineup, so we'll see if they can work around that injury. They still have Alec Thomas in the outfield there and a couple big-time pitchers in Reese Ladd here and Quintero, so incredible ball club here too. You just have the bullpen wasn't quite as hot there. It looks like the bullpen was still pretty decent, but eighth in runs allowed. So just a little more balance there. Pitching wise, they're kind of in the middle of the pack. Really good third in strikeouts, fifth in opponent batting average, some couple solid categories, but more middle of the pack team. But offensively, they're great. They struck out a lot, but they also walked a lot. So that means their pitchers against them are throwing a ton of pitches, wearing out, which makes it tough in the playoffs. A lot of really good bats and avoid K and I ratings most likely, and then they're really good in offensive WAR and hit for a ton of power and batting average. So really, really tough to get through their position players when it comes to their lineup. So like how that team's built quite a bit. And then lastly, we have the big playoff races. So today's sim, you got Detroit and Boston fighting for their lives. These two teams are playing each other, Detroit and Boston. So essentially, I think Boston has to win out and sweep Detroit to make it into the playoffs. And if Detroit even wins one game, I think maybe I'm reading that wrong. I guess if Detroit has to still win two, or else it's a tiebreaker. So that series is going to be real close. I won't talk about those two teams a ton until the playoff previews because one of them might not be in the playoffs. But essentially, Detroit has a couple really, really elite pitchers and a couple really elite offense players kind of built around stars like Van Winkle and then obviously Brumley there. And then Boston is a little more balanced. They have a couple real big bats. A couple really highly rated pitchers here. You see a lot of green and some blue there when it comes to that, and then they just have a ton of power. Their lineup's really built around power there. They have oh shoot, that's a big injury. Damn. But yeah, they got some ton of plus hitters there. So a couple real good ball clubs there at the middle of the 80 win season there. And then the other big playoff race you have here is Tampa Bay and Houston. It all comes down to Tampa Bay only has to play the Mets 3 times, which have a big losing record, and the Atlanta team, they just beat 12-0 for their 4 games. And right now they're dead set tied with Houston, but Houston has to play against the Seattle Mariners and Los Angeles Dodgers. So Houston and Tampa Bay both don't have the hardest schedules to finish out the year, but also not easy. Like the Dodgers are a really good team. Essentially, playing the Dodgers, who are one spot below, the Dodgers would have to sweep the Astros, and then they have to have Tampa lose every single game just to have a tiebreaker versus Tampa. So it's real like a 0.01% chance I think the Dodgers make the playoffs. But Houston and Tampa looks like a real good battle. So that's going to be today's battle. So we'll see how that goes come playoff time. So that's it for this episode. I'll see you guys later.